How about now? Can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me now? This is these are the it's funny because you think my experience as a content provider would have helped, but I did check the audio. The problem is, oh, now it's working. The problem is what happened was I wasn't getting internet and I had to switch rooms, so I unplugged my external microphone and forgot. So we have sound now. For those of you who are wondering what I was saying, I said a lot. I was talking about the fact that we have done multiple reviews on this channel in the past year. And what's incredible is I can't believe how much time has went by since we've started doing these reviews. But when I remember back to our first reviews, you could see them in the intros. Those were, I don't know if those are the first. I know it was my first. My first review for this channel, not including the hot sauces and the scores that we used to give them on Cravat Attack Hot Scores, was a sweet potato taco. And I'd have to ask my wife what town it was in, or we can go watch the video on this channel. But I reviewed a sweet potato taco. I think I gave it something in the 7s. I really liked it. And then my first pizza review was a place called Vervisi's or Vicini's. And that was it's actually pretty good, authentic Brooklyn pizza. It wasn't great that day, so they didn't score that high, if I remember correct. And I remember my brother Lee reviewed Matt's Barbecue, and that is a food truck in Portland. And I've reviewed it since then, and I've got to say, it's probably the best barbecue I've ever had. I mean, really. I mean, I've been in the South, and I'm telling you, this is the best barbecue I've ever had. Not so much flavor. I'm not saying that. Flavor-wise, it's personal choice. Some people might like the tomato-based sauce, whereas they give some fancy flavored sauces, which are good, but it might not be your personal favorite. Or, just the fact that when I say barbecue, a lot of you define that as, pig, and pork, pulled pork. This wasn't that. When I say Matt's Barbecue is the best, my favorite, that's from somebody who loves brisket, who loves smoky flavor. So it's and not so much the sauce, although they do give you some sauces. This, what I'm referring to, is when I say it's the best brisket I've ever had in my life or best barbecue, I'm talking about the tenderness of the brisket, and I'm talking about the smoky flavor of the brisket. That's what I love about it. Twisted is here. He says, how did you get on my screen, Jeremy? Well, since you're here, let's talk about the garbage food for a garbage football team. All right. I don't know why you're so mad, Twisted. If you maybe you didn't watch, maybe you'd already given up on the season. But what had happened is what's happened, Twisted, is that the Jets actually won. Now, I'm not saying it means anything as far as playoffs or anything like that. But as a Jet fan, I'm going to be pretty happy about that. So I like the way my guys played. Garrett Wilson has showed that he's a baller when he has a quarterback that throws the ball well. Zach Wilson, he has it in him, but we'll probably won't see him after next year anyway. But it's nice to know he has it in him, and it makes next week's game against Miami interesting if he could play at that level. And also, Sauce Gardner had a Hall of Fame type of game, so it's nice to see Sauce playing really well. So this is what you got to do as a Jet fan. You got to take some of the positives. Anyway, my niece Leah, I almost said it. I'm such a Star Wars guy. It almost came out the wrong way. What has been your favorite review you've done in North Carolina? Oh, that's a great question. I've done some great ones. I've had excellent food in North Carolina, from soft serve vanilla ice cream that reminds me of Carvel, to the point where it might even be better. To amazing pizza, maybe a top 10 pizza I've ever had in my life, and that's in North Carolina, which is incredible. To amazing sandwich, to a meatball sandwich from a butcher deli that's outrageous. I've had some good stuff in North Carolina, but I think if I'm going to take my favorite, if somebody right now came to me and said, you could have anything you want from Raleigh-Durham, that area, Cary area, any food you want, you could get it, every week, or they're going to open up a place right here. Which place do you want it to be? It'll taste identical. I know I'm picking DeFaro Pizza. Tavern. So I would take the Faro Pizza Tavern. I think that was my favorite review, mainly because I didn't expect it to be. I thought it would be really good, competitive to an average place in Brooklyn. Like that's what I thought. I thought it would be like real Brooklyn pizza, to the point where I'd say it's better than a lot of them. I didn't expect something that would score in the eights. I didn't expect something that would be up there with favorite, my favorite pizzas that I've had, like the good places, like Joe's and John's and Danico's, and places that I love, Gruppo, Originals Pizza in Canarsie. I didn't expect it, LMB Square, well, actually LMB Round if you're me personally, but I didn't expect it to be that kind of experience. I didn't expect it to be special. And it definitely was. It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, I don't know how consistent they are. I know it's not as good when you order slices because I went there and ordered slices and it wasn't as good. But when me and my wife have went there, me and Jocelyn went there and ordered a pie, it is absolutely fantastic. Now, that's with no travel. That's with ordering it, having it brought to the table fresh, and that kind of thing matters. So I do want to say that's how we tried it. We've been there a couple of times since. They haven't disappointed. The only time it didn't live up to its hype and they had a bad day was when I got slices from a pie that was already made. So it didn't age and reheat well, which makes sense because it's kind of like a very fresh pie. Like what was good about it was the sauce, and it was hot and piping, bursting with flavor. Like as soon as I cooled it off, as it started to cool, it was so delicious. And then I think once it got cold and then reheated, I think it lost a lot of that flavor. It didn't pop as much. At least the sauce didn't. Yeah. So you're a tanker. I understand that. I understand that. I don't root for them to tank until they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I think there is some benefit to them winning right now. Believe it or not, I do. That might sound foolish, but I think this coaching regime, since they are coming back, whether we like it or not, needs to have some. Like it would have been horrible if they win it, if they ended the season with nothing but losses. By the way, I'm drinking a Coke from McDonald's. It was free because I have the McDonald's app, and it was like a point redeeming thing where I get a free Coke. And I was driving by anyway, so I said, well, I'll get that free Coke. And I will say, McDonald's does a very good job with their taps. Like, cleaning them out and using good fresh syrup or whatever it is. They keep the taps clean. I think I might want to say there's nothing floating in the soda. It's refreshing. It's crisp. It's got that Coca-Cola crispness. Crispness. The straw is very good. The straw works really well. They gave me a very good straw, so I'm happy about that. Yeah. So it's a good thing to drink if you like Coke. So if you go to Alaska, by the way, and you go to Denali, and you stay in one of the resorts, and you take the train in, that's how a lot of people get in. A lot of people, they go on these trips, and you go from Anchorage, and you go on a train, and it takes you into Denali. Now, it's like a first-class type train, except the food's not free. You have to order it, but you could order all kinds of food and cocktails. You could go get up and go downstairs and go outside part of the train and look at the view, and you could see Denali as you're coming towards it. It's beautiful, and sometimes you see wild animals. And me and my family went, my parents and Lee and Kathy, that's Lee's wife, and my wife. The six of us went, and we had an amazing time. It was an amazing, and I'll never forget the train ride down. It was really fun. Me and my wife got kind of drunk. We were ordering lots of food and stuff. And then when the train gets into the station in Denali, they load you onto these buses based on which resort you're staying in, I guess based on, or what wing of the resort or what have you. So anyway, we go on to the bus, and then on the bus, not just, this was on the train as well, but there's like a guide. But on the bus, it was a new guide. So it was this dude right? This guy, he must have been like 20 years old. He looked like a stoner. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was stoned. And this is the funny thing. So my dad's sitting there sucking down a Dr. Pepper, and he's all happy that he got his Dr. Pepper. And me and Jocelyn are sitting in seats, and I look across, and there's Lee and Kathy. They're sitting there. And the guy's in the front, the tour guide is in the front, and he's pointing out the restaurants that are near the resort. And this is how he's doing it, and I'm not exaggerating. He says, he's driving, he goes, "That's Matt's Pizza." Matt's Pizza, they got all kinds of things like pizza, calzones, and meatballs, salads. If you like pizza, it's a good place to go. Okay, so he says that. Then he points to another place. It's like Bill's Sandwiches. And he goes, "Bill's Sandwiches. They have all kinds of sandwiches. Hot sandwiches and cold sandwiches. You can get all kinds of different toppings on them. You know, they too have salad and chips and drinks. And if you like sandwiches, it's a good place to go." So now I'm starting to think it's pretty funny that he's saying this. Like, if you like sandwiches, it's a good place to go. And keep in mind, these are the only places near the resorts for 100 miles. Then he looks at and he goes, "Now, if you have a little bit more money, you want to do something a little bit more fancy, there's, Mark's Steakhouse. They got steaks of all different cuts of steaks, baked potato, mashed potato option, and steak sauce. They give you bread. Manny's Steakhouse. And if you like steaks, it's a good place to go." So by the time now he's talking about Vanessa's ice cream. They have all different kinds of ice cream, soft serve ice cream, hard serve ice cream. If you like ice cream, and me and Jocelyn at the same time said it with him, it's a good place to go. And we're cracking up laughing because we thought it was so funny. And we look over at Lee, and Lee is like hearing us laughing and confused like this. And sitting there with his little baseball cap on, listening to the information, not realizing that every place is named after what they serve. And the guy keeps saying, "If you like that thing, it's a good place to go." And it seemed to all go over his head. And what was funnier is he's looking at us confused, and then we laughed harder because now we're laughing at him because he's not in on the joke and doesn't get it. So anyway, that's us in a nutshell. But anyway, one of the things I like to eat during a Jet game, this is no secret, is double cheeseburgers from McDonald's. I like it because it's fast. I like them because they're very flavorful. McDonald's makes a very big point to usually for most of their foods to make it like on the go, very easy to eat. I like the double cheeseburgers because every bite tastes the same. They're very good at evening out, distributing the ingredients. The flavor is very well distributed. I like that I can watch the game. I could quickly sneak a bite in. It goes down fast. It's the kind of food you could gobble down. You don't have to chew it for an hour. So if Green Bean asks me a question like, "What did you think of that play, Chaos?" I'm able to quickly, chew it down, swallow, and give an answer. Also, I like that it's the snack that lasts. Like I could get like 4 or 5 of them, and they last throughout the game because they don't go bad that fast. If you keep them tightly wrapped, you could be 2 hours into the game and open up one of those double cheeseburgers, and they're still okay. I mean, sometimes if I had time, I might run downstairs and give it like literally 11 seconds in the microwave, and you're good. So, it's a great food for football games. I almost went to a McDonald's on the way to the stadium. Green Bean wouldn't stop the car. I wanted him to. I wanted to get like 10 to 15 double cheeseburgers for the tailgate. Because I don't care what they're cooking up, what food they have. You walk over to a tailgate where you got like, Matt O'Leary is celiac, so forget about him. But if you walk by Joe Blewett's tailgate and you hold up a double cheeseburger, if he's not going for it, Nanya is. And if it's not Nanya, Sabo is. And forget about Boy Green. Like if you find Boy Green in the parking lot of a Jet game and you hold up a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, that guy is going to become the Hamburglar. You know what I mean? Wait, what? Cheeseburger, or is the Hamburglar or the Cheeseburglar? He's going to be like, rah, 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 and he's going to come running over. So you're going to get a lot of attention if you're at a tailgate with double cheeseburgers. I know even Larry, my friend Larry, if I held up a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, like a bag of them, I know he's going to want some. He's coming after me. He's going to be like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm a tech guy. I've sat at computers and looked at servers for many years, and I never turned down a bag of McDonald's. Never turned down a double cheeseburger. He would never turn it down. I know my niece would never turn it down. She'd be like, it's delicious, Uncle Jeremy. I know it. Nobody turns down a double cheeseburger. So it's a good thing to bring if you like cheeseburgers. McDonald's is a good place to go if you like hamburgers and fast food like that. By the way, if you like Nathan's has like the greatest hot dogs and greatest French fries, it's a good place to go if you like hot dogs and French fries. Oh, Leah eats her burgers without cheese. I didn't know that about my niece. She likes the regular McDonald's hamburgers then. That's what she wants. Well, I'll tell you what, the next time I'm in North Carolina, I will take you to McDonald's. We will get you McDonald's hamburgers. We will go back to your house and you will eat them in front of your brother and say, ha, ha, ha. Uncle Jeremy got me McDonald's hamburgers and got you nothing. Now she's going to be like, no, I love my brother. You have to get him McDonald's hamburger too if he wants one, but no onions. Anyway, so we'll continue. Is there any other questions about our reviews? Twisted, what reviews did you watch and which ones did you like? Twisted, since you have such so many opinions. That's another thing. I always wondered who out there, I always thought it was kids. Like, who goes into a McDonald's drive-thru and says, I'll have the regular hamburger, not the cheeseburger. Now, apparently, it's my niece. She's the one. How many of you out there prefer the regular hamburger? And do you get double hamburgers? Like, a lot of us get double cheeseburgers. Does a non-cheese person get double hamburgers? Is that a thing? Do you go through a drive-thru and say, I'd like a double hamburger, please? I mean, I guess that would be a McDouble no cheese. I guess a McDouble no cheese. Because a McDouble is one slice of cheese. A double cheeseburger is 2 slices of cheese. Same thing. So I guess it would be a McDouble no cheese or a double hamburger. Like, instead of a double cheeseburger, a double hamburger. Huh. What's your favorite snack you've reviewed? My favorite snack? Wow. I know my friend Gunny would want me to say chicken biscuits, but that's not my favorite. I gotta start like remembering all the snacks that I did. Let's see. I'm gonna say the best one I did, even though the taco Doritos. Oh, I didn't release that. Oops. That's new. That's not to come. That's still to come. I haven't done Cheez-Its yet, which is one of my favorite. I'm gonna say my favorite one was when I didn't really review it. I did a short on it. I found Entenmann's cookie dough, and Entenmann's is, as some of you know from my reviews, one of my favorite like baking type of for pies and cookies and cakes and all that stuff in a box at a supermarket. Entenmann's was my favorite brand growing up. It's not the same that it was, but it used to be amazing, but it's still good compared to like Hostess. I think it's better than Hostess. I think that the Entenmann's cookie dough, where you take the dough and make the cookies yourself and eat them fresh, were my favorite. I think that would have to go down as my favorite snack as far as the review. I didn't really review it though, but I may have given it a score. It was definitely like 7.7. Like, it was the highest snack I ever ate. Like most snacks are in the sixes and everything, and fives or sixes. Um, this was the one that definitely was up there. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've went to bakeries and gotten chocolate chip cookies that weren't as good, to be honest. But the reason I'd go in the sevens is I'm not going to say it's at the level of like, when you go to David's Cookies or Insomnia Cookies, or there's some pretty amazing places out there to get cookies. And then, when you talk about sweet desserts and everything, what about the Italian cookies and the bake shops, the Italian bakeries in New York? I mean, it's hard to give over an 8 to Entenmann's cookies when those cookies are in the world, when things like that are in the world. But they were really good. I mean, I probably got myself a stomach ache because I couldn't stop eating them. And it's probably not the best or healthiest thing to do in the world to just literally sit there um and eat Entenmann's cookies. So my brother just texted me, Leah's father just texted me. He says he's at a particular event, so he's not going to make it, which is too bad. Would have been nice if he did, but he's not going to make it. Anyway, one of the I'm gonna talk about the different reviews that were interesting. I think Lee would have some good stories. One day we should talk about his experience in Greece, because a lot of us saw all the reviews he did in Greece. That was interesting. If you haven't, you might want to look at the channel at the playlists and go to Lee's reviews. I don't know if he did Greece in particular. He may have a separate playlist for it. And it's interesting to look at the foods in Greece. Also, the owners and the people that run them, it's more mom and pop, family ran places. So there was someone in the bakery he liked, like the mother and the daughter talked to him about it. And we're actually talking to him. So that was an interesting review. One of my favorites to watch, that bakery. And it was exciting to watch all the ones in Greece, like all the reviews of restaurants in Greece were a lot of fun, especially because my brother went to touristy areas, like areas that you would go if you went to Greece, that you'd probably want to go to different islands that, people like to travel to when you're touring and going around Greece. So it would be interesting. Imagine if anybody listening to this that is going to ever go to Greece, imagine going to a place. How cool is that someone did a review on that, and checking it out and seeing if you agree. So that was kind of a fun thing. And the other fun thing is when we do reviews together, because it's rarely the three of us, but it's always two of us. So you'll see a lot of reviews, or you'll see some reviews where it's me and Matthew. You'll see reviews where it's Matthew and Lee. You'll see reviews where it's me and Lee. But rarely, only when it's hot sauce, do we ever seem to do a food review together. And I don't know why that is. Probably because I got COVID the only time we've ever had an opportunity. Like, I literally landed off a plane. We did a hot sauce review together, and we had all these plans. We're going to definitely eat together, so we were going to do reviews. But then I got COVID, and that ended that. So it didn't happen. But Lee and I did a bunch of reviews together in Portland, and Matthew and I did a couple in North Carolina. We did a couple together. Sometimes we're together and we don't do the reviews together, which is odd. Like, I don't know what makes us decide. I guess, like, when we go to that food tavern, that food hall in North Carolina, in Raleigh, since we eat different things and we pick different places, we decided to do different reviews. So we do separate reviews. And sometimes we crash each other's reviews. So when I was doing 50 Licks ice cream, it was Lee crashed the review. He didn't really crash it. I put the phone on him. Another fun review for me to do was Johnny Max, the Italian hot dog, because Green Bean and Ryan from Jetstock 24/7 was there in the restaurant at Johnny Max with me. So it was kind of cool. They crashed the video a little bit, stuck their heads in. So that came off as pretty funny. And then there are some reviews I'm looking forward to doing. So I'm looking forward to doing cake in a can, or not cake in a can, bread in a can. So I have an own bread in a can. I figure survivalists buy it, like people who like have shelters that are are prepared if they ever have to go live in their shelter or their basement, and they want to have bread that doesn't go bad, that stays a long time. There's canned bread, and I have it, and I'm going to review it. So I don't know why I haven't yet. I will probably within the next couple of weeks because I've had it for some time now. So there's that. Any other questions about reviews, you guys? There's some of you watching, so I'm surprised nobody's chatting. You guys probably just watching in amazement. Like, how long can this guy go on talking to himself? I could go a long time. Those of you who've watched me rant about the Jets know that I could talk for over an hour easily. Now, it's harder when there's nobody talking in the chat, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. I mean, I could just sit here and tell you the things I love about pizza. What I love about pizza is the crispy crust. It's like the best kind of bread, and it bakes on a stone, usually in a very hot oven. And when it's made right, there's high quality flour, very glutinous, high glutinous flour, eggs, salt and sugar, good quality yeast, and it just becomes this amazing, delicious thing. And then the other things I like about pizza now comes on top of that crust is this sauce. And when it's done well, it's fresh Italian tomatoes. It doesn't have to be Italy. It's the kind of tomato now. I'm forgetting the name of it. I don't want to embarrass myself. But when they come from Italy, oh my God, those red tomatoes, they're grinded down. They're grated tomatoes. And you mix in some tomato paste. People don't know that. This is the real way to do it. Oregano, salt, and sugar. And you're just stirring it and mixing it. And it's not cooked. Unlike tomato sauce or gravy, pizza sauce is not cooked until it goes on the pizza. You're just grating the tomato. You're adding in some tomato paste to help it get some thickness and consistency, some oregano, some salt, some sugar. And then all it is, and some black pepper. All it is then you're mixing it, and then when someone orders a pie, you take a ladle of it and put it on that delicious dough that's going to make that perfect crust. And then, of course, and by the way, everything is important. Using good ingredients is important for every component. You cannot have a great pizza unless you nail every component. The final component is the cheese. And you could destroy a perfectly good pizza. You could make the best crust. You could have New York water or a water that you've learned how to work with that yeast because people have done it. But a New York water, which is known to make a great bread. You went through everything. You used the best flour, high gluten flour. You used the best quality yeast, and you make this amazing crust that's cooked on a fire oven, a brick oven with a hot brick. Everything's great. You put this wonderful sauce on, and then you screw up the cheese, and that's it. The pizza's done. Ruined. Not ruined. I mean, you can always rip the pizza off and just eat a delicious crust with tomato on it, but it's important to put the right mozzarella on it. Now, look, I'm not a fan of fresh mutts. Like, that's why I don't usually get margaritas. I'm not a fan. I think it doesn't have any flavor. I like the typical traditional Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, sometimes Manhattan pie, like regular pie, standard hand tossed pie. They use a cheese that's usually from my favorite brand it's called Grande. And we used to think it was a secret in the restaurant I worked, but it wasn't. The distributors of Grande recommend this, and they tell you this. And anyone who doesn't listen is stupid, and that's why their pizza is either not as good in taste or it's too greasy. They don't listen. They're trying to get an edge, and they don't listen. What you want to do is you have to take half of the Grande mozzarella, has to be whole milk, and the other half of the Grande mozzarella has to be skim milk. And what that does is the whole milk is for flavor. The skim milk is because you can't do all whole milk or it gets too greasy. And that's when you have the dripping pizza with grease and it makes the pizza soggy and it's just not good. So that's one of the tricks. And that's the final component of the pizza. And all three components matter. And the evidence in, as I see Matt O'Leary here, the evidence of that is that if you don't use a good cheese, or I'm sorry, even if you use a good cheese, and even if you use a great sauce, even if you do everything right, if you don't have a good crust, it ruins the whole thing. And by evidence of that, and my example of that is when you eat gluten-free pizza, that's not good. Like there's some excellent gluten-free pizza out there that are making good crusts. But when you go to a place that doesn't do the crust well, and it's just like a conveyor belt kind of crust or this crappy crust that they send to all the different pizzerias as a company, and it's awful. It doesn't matter if you put the best cheese and sauce on it. It sucks. Even if you use the same sauce and cheese, it sucks. So every component matters. I've had pizza with great crust, really good sauce. The cheese is off. It ruins the experience for me. Ruins it. And I've had pizza where the sauce screws it up. Not as badly as the other two. But a lot of times the problem is the place doesn't put enough sauce on. It feels like you're eating grilled cheese. It's got to have sauce. It's got to have that kick of the sauce. It's just got to. Otherwise, you're eating cheese and bread. It's a different product. The flavor of pizza is a balance of a good crust, the sweetness and the freshness of the sauce mixed in with a mozzarella that has some sharpness to it. And that's why Wisconsin makes Grande and some other brands, they usually have the best mozzarella. And that's what makes pizza so special. It's 3 ingredients, but they're all super important. How do you feel about a burrata? Now, I'm going to assume you meant to type in burrito, not burrata. If you meant to type burrata, I'm in trouble because I don't know what the hell a burrata is, but I know what a burrito is. Now, living in California, the one thing that makes it tolerable here, even though it's hard to find good pizza and you have to travel for it, even though there's no such thing as getting a great chicken parm the saving grace is our Mexican food. I could drive 20 minutes into farmlands where there are food trucks, where it's grandma making, incredible Mexican food. Oh, you're saying burrata cheese. Is that the Greek cheese? I don't know if you're talking about that because I've had some amazing Greek cheese in my life that have made me want to cry. Like it's an appetizer in a Greek restaurant, like this incredible cheese. But I don't know about burrata cheese on pizza. That's for sure. I'm not sure. Let's see this. I think Lee is trying to get on, but I don't see his face. McDonald's is phasing out self-service soda machines. Wow, that's interesting. That doesn't bother me too much. I don't know if I like the whole self-serving soda machines. I don't trust other people. They're gross. I don't like standing next, you're getting your drink and other people are pushing on you. They're bothering you. I don't know if I trust it so much. So I might be okay about it. Hey, what's up, Lee?
Hey, you're putting me on without a picture, man.
I didn't put you on. You put yourself on.
Oh, sorry.
He forgot I made him an admin. He has the power to come on. I guess you're working on getting your picture. You could work on it while you're talking.
Yeah, I'm using my phone, and sometimes it takes as much as 10 minutes to get video. I don't know why.
Well, that's a bummer. Zoom,
it happens right away, but with this wonderful app, it takes, I don't know what makes it finally happen. But I don't want to stop you from talking about pizza, and I think you did a really good job. I think that is a great description of the pizza. I was thinking about it recently, if I'm allowed to go on, hey, Leah, about this and ramble a little bit, but it isn't just we're saying it's good pizza or it's bad pizza. There's huge differences based on all the factors you just said, especially something like the crust. The reason you like it crispy is because it has that mouthfeel, and then it merges with the other ingredients so well. And it
Yeah.
snaps and it's delicious. If you have it so that it's not crispy for a standard kind of pizza I'm talking about, then it's usually disgustingly chewy. Like you have to chew, and it isn't supporting the other flavors. It's like just like gum. It's like pizza gum. Blech.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
starchy. You got to cook it enough to get the crisp, or it's not good.
That's why it's so much better on a stone or a brick. That's why cooking it on a stone or a brick, cooking it at very high temperatures, like these, there's a reason for all of it, right? I mean, those are the reasons, because that's how you get the crispness. One of the things that Jocelyn suffers is the gluten-free pizza, because it's not flour, whatever, whatever makes it different, it doesn't crisp. So she always ends up with like this pizza that's very chewy, the crust, and it ruins the whole experience for her.
When I was growing up, there was a pizzeria in the city called the Original Rays. Now, there's 100 Original Rays now.
But this was the real originals.
It was the one that they all fought, but it was one that people thought of, like that lived in Manhattan. Like you knew this was the one. And
Right.
it was on 6th Avenue and 11th, East 11th in the city. And it was near a hospital. And you would have nurses and doctors lined up around the block, like to get pizza there. And it's interesting. I loved it. It was my favorite one, my favorite pizza back then. But I wonder if it would have been my favorite now, or if you would even like it, or I would like, I don't know. What was amazing about it was they put about a pound of cheese on every slice. So I think they did the same mix as you're talking about. The flavor was incredible. But when you put so much cheese on, you're getting this oil. And the cheese overpowered the sauce, and they made the crust a little bit thicker just so it could handle the cheese, if you know what I mean, but still crispy. But some people said it was too raw for them, the crust. But to me, it was this incredible flavor. I think what I was loving was the flavor of cheese. That was basically what I was liking.
Yeah, I think that it was, I think it almost could be its own style. Like you could consider it like a style. So it's not so much, oh, I don't like it. It's, oh, I have to be in the mood for that style. Because I could see craving that and being in the mood for that. Like I miss it. If that Original Rays was back, I would go if I was in the city. Not because I like it better than Joe's, because it's a different style that I think I miss.
Well, I would be always, oh, there he is. He's handsome. He's handsome. I would always be trying to search that flavor when I was a kid. Like a lot of things I loved when I was younger, I don't know if it was real anymore, if that makes sense. Like it's a memory more than it's reality now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I mean, but like how excited would you be to have it now? Like the nostalgia of just having that slice.
I would love it. I would absolutely go crazy just to try it. But then I would determine how good it was. So one thing that I will say is that I had a slice, my first slice of $1 pizza. I haven't put up the video yet. My first $1 pizzeria. You want to hear about it? Because then it'll ruin the video.
Well, no, I don't want to ruin the video, but I do have one question about it.
Yes.
Is it as good as Costco pizza?
I would say, well, there's a lot of ways to answer that. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it. First of all, instead of $1 pizza, when you got really close, in very small writing next to the $1 was a little 50. So first off, it wasn't $1. The $1 brought you in, and then when you're there, what are you going to say? No to 50 cents? But once you do that, then when they give you change, it's 50 cents. And of course, you tip the 50 cents. So it's really $2 pizza when you're said and done. Second of all, it's half the price of a New York pizza. And New York pizzas these days go for about $4 a slice. So you're paying the same amount of money per bite. So it's kind of, and it's decent New York pizza. It's decent New York pizza. I'm not going to say what I gave it, but if you want to get a slice with things on it like pepperoni and that, then they're charging $354 a slice. So you're not getting any bargain, but you're getting a super small piece of pizza. And it's just a tourist trap. And when I was there, people were getting the toppings because they thought it was cheaper to do it that way.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it was very scammy. It was typical, New York trying to make. This is near Times Square. It was on 50th. So it's your typical. Can we fool people into giving us their money?
I hate that that's the idea that people get of New York pizza.
How come your mouth isn't moving with your picture? Does one of us have slowness?
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Okay.
The internet sucks. So.
Yeah. Damn the internet. I almost said a different word.
It's actually not the internet. It's the computer. I'm using a Mac Air.
Okay.
And Mac had a big problem with their Wi-Fi cards before 2022.
I'm using a Mac Mini, like 2 years old Mac Mini. It's pretty good. I like it.
Are you hardwired in?
No.
Oh, you're lucky.
It's less than 2 years old. What do you mean?
Oh, that's why.
I'm paying for half a terabyte, no, full terabyte, but the router only does 600. And then it's only 2/3 down, 1/3 up. So I'm only getting 400. But 400's pretty fast.
Yeah, I gotta find out if they can upgrade the Wi-Fi card on this.
So that's the pizza lesson.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I no longer talk. I no longer get too specific, because as far as like the thickness of the crust or the style of something, because we're discovering all these different styles of pizza, and they're all great in their own different way.
They have their own balance. They have their own balance that works. The Detroit style pizza, the side crust with the cheese caramelized on it, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I know it's not even close to a real version, but just the frozen version of Detroit style pizza, it's the best frozen pizza I ever had.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I was excited to try it, but then I remembered I don't want to eat that much pizza. Kathy wants to try it, even though she doesn't eat meat. We have to take off the pepperoni.
It sucks. It sucks that they don't have a plain one. I was not happy about that. I did not want the pepperoni. I prefer pizza without pepperoni. I don't like what pepperoni does to the pizza.
Well, let me explain. I mean, I know you know this, but I'm just going to explain it anyway, because that's what we do. You talked about the crust being so important, and the sauce and the cheese and the balance and the flavors. But when you add the pepperoni component, or any component in my mind, any topping, well, now you have to add, how does that fit in with the rest of it? It overpowers a lot of the cheese sauce. So, it's mostly that now pepperoni with some of the pizza flavor and the crust. So it's very hard to say the pizza is really good. The experience can be good. Like, I went with Shane and James and had this pizza. Oh, they had honey on it and goat cheese, and it was a delicious bite. But it's hard for me to say it was great pizza. It was a great pizza, but I don't know if the underlying pizza was good, or I don't know. I just know that they made a combination of flavors that was good.
Oh, I think that's explained perfectly well. It's like when you have different, I think a lot of the problems I had with Square Pizza in Brooklyn growing up was very few of the places understood to adjust the sauce and cheese to the ratio of the crust. Now, when you went to a place like Armando's by the Rockaway Parkway train station, they understood that. And it was very heavy sauce and cheese, and there was a ton of flavor. But a lot of places, the sauce and the cheese was this very thin layer on top, and it was all bread, and it was awful.
I went to L&B, and you had always told me how great it was, and I was super excited. Scott Schwartz took me, which was awesome.
I
And
saw the review.
huh?
I saw the review.
Right, but if you looked at the pizza, the crust was all compressed. And
Yeah.
Scott looked at it and said, "What the hell is with that pizza?" He got a slice too. And because of that, the crust couldn't stand up to the cheese, and the sauce. It was like eating sauce, because it was the crust layer. And he
Right.
even said it was the worst he ever had. And he's been there going there his whole life and he loves it. So that just shows you, even a great pizza, if you mess with one of the components, it's not great pizza.
Yeah, and I could even tell you from my experience what I think it was, just from working at Bruno's, in Canarsie. What it sounds like is, and this happened at Bruno's sometimes, they were using very, very fresh dough. Like they made the dough and used it right away because they were running low. Because that's what happened at Bruno's too. What happens is it doesn't have the first full fermentation.
Ah,
So like when we would make the dough, ideally you make it in advance before you run out when you have the old dough, because you want to keep it in the tins sitting in the fridge or wherever it is, so it has that first rise, and that's where it gets the fluffiness and all the air.
what is that rise called when you let it just sit in heat?
Fermentation.
I know fermentation is very scientifically correct. But like, what are they? Huh?
No, I'm listening. I'm listening to what you're saying.
They call it the something in the baking show, Great British Bake Off. They say, well, for half an hour, we have to do the first blah, blah, blah.
Rise? I don't know. I always say fermentation, but I believe you. There's a different name. Anyway, when we used to use the dough right away, Charlie, the guy who owned it, my friend's father, Charlie,
I know.
he would always be very upset about it, having to use it, because the crust would be flat. It would be harder. Like,
Yes, that's what
it didn't have the texture that it was supposed to have. So my guess is you went to L&B. Well, one thing is it's not the original people anymore. So that's the first strike, where I don't know if it, even when I eat it, I wonder, is this as good as it was when I was 15?
Yes,
Because when I was
Scott says
15,
it's still really good pizza, usually.
yeah, but when I was 15, it used to be magic. Now it's like it's good, and then I think but I think that what happened was, yeah, you got one where they used fresh dough. It never got to rise, so it sounds like it never rose. So it was just the one fermentation of cooking, and that's it. So you got a pizza that was like not near, didn't get the air in, it didn't get that fluff.
Yeah. It's proving it. Yes. That's what it's called when you let it rise.
Yeah. I like that you ended up liking the round, which is funny because I told you might like the round better, because I like the round.
The other one, Kathy also, you know?
Yeah. It's like this peer pressure. Everyone gives you a hard time for eating the round at L&B, but it happens to be amazing pizza.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew is reminding us sometimes. There's a video about this, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. Number one, Matthew is the more handsome brother. That's true. I was given other gifts. I won't go into them right now. But Matthew got the looks, and he and I did go to V Pizza in like either Apex or Cary. Like in New York, it's just New York. But there you have to know whether it's Apex or Cary or Raleigh. And it was near the Trader Joe's. So is that, I think that's Cary, I think. And
well, which Trader Joe's?
Huh?
Which Trader Joe's?
I'm going to say the one in Cary.
Okay. Okay. The original one that Mom and Dad went to?
Yeah, the original one. The original one.
Okay. That's Cary.
The original one. So in the same shopping mall as this place, V Pizza. Dad keeps telling me how it was something else, but he doesn't remember the name. And we went to have the pizza because a listener of our reviews, and it likes the pizza there. And we both agreed the pizza was just a flop house. I mean, it was a good attempt at pizza, but they just couldn't. The crust didn't hold up at all. It totally disappeared. But the wings were one of the best. I think I'm going to say best chicken wings I've ever had. I just have to say, there's a couple of no, best chicken wings I ever had. Flavored, like they cared about the chicken wing. They didn't just throw a sauce on. They flavored it like it was food. Oh, it was so good. So
nice. It sounds really good. I think with chicken wings, sauce has a lot to do with it. Like if I was to break down chicken wings, I didn't realize how much I missed good quality chicken wings, and because most places they're not high quality wings on their own. But Jocelyn surprised me last year and ordered wings directly from Buffalo, from a famous place. And it wasn't only the sauce. What I realized is the wings were meaty. They had a lot of meat on them, but they also came right off the bone and were very juicy, the meat. Like it was very high quality. So there is a high, like any other kind of chicken or meat, there's quality like that matters. So a lot of it was just like, obviously they got to prepare it right. Like none of this like deep frying it until it's dry, right? It's supposed to be cooked in a pan with butter and then with the hot sauce put in.
Matthew makes it good.
Yeah. So if you use the quality chicken and you cook it the right way and don't overcook it and keep all those factors matter.
Yeah. There's a restaurant mini chain in San Diego. I think it used to be called Stuffed Pizza, and that was at Silicon Valley and everything. But they changed the name. I don't remember it because I'm old. But they made a very nice wing. I don't know how they did it, but it was just enough dryness to it, but like on the outside to make it crunchy. They put sesame seeds on it, which is kind of a weird thing I haven't seen before. But the inside was delicious and soft and fresh and juicy. It was a great. They removed the skin. It was a great wing. And I used to take the kids, and Wednesday was wings night. So every Wednesday we used to go and do 50 cents a wing, and I would just buy a bowl from me and the kids. And then they had different flavors. Buffalo was my favorite, but they had other different ones that were interesting too.
See, I can't eat wings during a Jet game when I'm broadcasting.
Too messy?
I can't touch the computer. Jocelyn will kill me. Like I'm getting in a lot of trouble for eating and then touching the computer, so I can only eat things that don't get oil on your hands.
Yeah.
Really, really careful. And I didn't realize it. She's like, "How come every time you use the computer and I get it back, it's disgusting?" And I'm like, "Oh."
I don't share my computer with anybody, so I can eat whatever I want, but I don't eat food with my hands. That'd be gross.
So I have to be careful about. But when I'm not broadcasting and I'm home watching sports, wings are a great sports food. They're a great like food to eat where you don't have to eat them, sit down and eat them all 12 at once, but like where you could get up, make a plate, eat a couple of wings, hang out, drink a beer, go up, get some more wings later. Like it's a great party food like that.
So speaking of beer and a great beer food, and this is going to be funny because growing up, we hated liver. And a neighbor, Lauren Maloney made chopped liver and I really liked it. So now I try liver and liver related items. Some of it I love, some of it's not my favorite at all. But Gary Middleton, great friend of mine, I saw him this weekend, Sunday in New York. And we go to this place called McSorley's. For those of you that are close to New York, it's the oldest bar in New York City. And there's a whole bunch of great stories that there's only 8 of you on the here. I'm not going to go into the whole story about McSorley's. Fantastic place. They shot a scene in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in there. But one thing they don't have a lot of food. They have like cheese and crackers you can get, or you can get a liverwurst, Braunschweiger liverwurst sandwich on white bread. It's really low maintenance. And they only sell 2 kinds of beer, black and white, or dark and white, dark and light. That's it, dark and light. And you can only buy 2 beers at a time because they're served in these little glass mugs that don't hold, it's mostly glass. They don't hold a lot of beer. So you got to get 2 at a time. You can go through 15 of them. Well, you can't because you can't get one. If you're splitting with a friend, you can go through 15 each. And it's great there. The greatest combination is those beers and a Brunschwager sandwich. They also give you onions to put on the sandwich, raw onion. It's quite a place. So Gary and I, every time we go there, we can't get in for some reason or another. And this time we were walking around nowhere near it, and it started pouring on us. We had to get out of the rain. Gary said there's a museum restaurant near here that's excellent. We went. They had liverwurst there. It was $25 instead of $5. It was one piece of bread instead of 5. It was a schmear of liverwurst paste.
Oh my God.
Instead of a bunch of liverwurst, no onion. And but we liked it because we felt like we still got our normal thing. And we got a beer, and instead of being $3 for a little beer, it was a little beer probably for $18. But that's okay. We had beer and liverwurst in the fancy museum restaurant.
I love chopped liver from when I think I started going nuts for it when I was about 10 or 11. Mom put it in the fridge once. Her mother's, our Grandma Ida's chopped liver. And I couldn't stop eating it. Matthew, I remember, would not eat it. So there was a time where I think you were off to college. So maybe I was like 11, 12. So there was a time where I got to eat chopped liver all to myself. Like Mom would bring home, like from her house, a bowl of chopped liver, or I'd get it and I'd get to eat it to myself. And then Mom would buy it from a deli like Danza, or, she'd bring home chopped liver. And it's one of the things I didn't have to compete with Matthew over. I had I was able to eat it myself. And
I didn't start eating it till my late 30s, so you would have had it also. You know what else you used to eat, Jeremy, that I ate, but not that much of it? You loved it. Olive loaf.
I still do.
Cheap bologna with slices of olive slices.
2 weeks ago, I went there's a deli supermarket here called Cordy Brothers. That's my butcher. It's also my deli. It's where we get all our good stuff. They have all boar's head, like all the good stuff. And I get olive loaf. I always get a pound of olive loaf whenever I go there.
Well, Jeremy, think about how they make that. They're taking pork beef paste, putting it in a mold and throwing some olives in.
I
get drying it out or something, huh?
You know what? I might give it up because I do get very sick when I eat it.
I imagine you do. I don't know if you released that video. I just got in 2 a.m. last night, but so I'm kind of tired. Actually, when you started this, I was sleeping. I just passed out. But
which one? Second Avenue Deli.
Yes, and
that's a short. I don't know how to do shorts.
The meat was the fattest. It was old days fatness on the amount of meat, but it was $27.50 for just some meat on some bread. Happened to be good rye, and with tax and tip, I think it was $35 for a sandwich. It was delicious.
I know they've gotten so bad though. Like with believe it or not, for as big as it is, it's much smaller than it used to be.
I know. It reminded me of old days because when the pandemic first ended, they were giving half as much, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah. The whole point about it was you used to go you got the full sandwich though, but you could take extra bread and make multiple sandwiches from it because it used to be too thick. You couldn't even eat it. It's like,
I think Cats might still be like that, but I haven't been there in a few years.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a deli in New Jersey that's equal to those other delis called Harold's, and you're doing it by weight, so you're getting pounds of the meat, and it's amazing. And they have a bread bar, and you go up to the bar and you take as much bread as you want. And then, so the best is to go with a lot of people. So then you order pounds of different meats because you want to try everything. Because like if I go with just a friend, we're going to get pastrami, right? And it's so much, you can only order so much. But when you go in a group, you could try the roast beef. It's the best roast beef I've ever had in my life. It's like butter.
Well, if you go with 2 people, one person could get pastrami and half half swap. The other person gets something else and half swap. So,
Well, yeah, but it's a lot though because you're each going to get like a pound's, at least a minimum of meat. But yeah.
yeah.
But like it's rare because usually I go to a place like that and I want the corned beef, the pastrami, those kind of things. But this is the one place where I have to get the roast beef because it is the perfect rareness. It's like cloudy soft. It's like lox, but it's roast beef. It's amazing. It's just
I was
amazing.
at a conference in Washington, D.C. last week, and it was fantastic, by the way. I did the keynotes while eating hot sauce with the head of electricity for the United States. Like he is
Wow.
in charge of the Office of Electricity, and he did hot sauce with me in front of like 250 people. It went great. He was a great sport. He liked the hot sauce, even though it burned him. And at the conference, usually conference food is the worst, and most of this was not the best. It was okay. They had onion roll with roast beef, and they cut it in quarters. And I'm on a diet, so I've been eating very little food, and I only had 1/4, which is crazy. But it was good roast beef, and I have to say, on the onion roll, it was so. I put a little hot sauce on there. Holy cow! Holy cow, it was good. Carnival. I put some Carnival on it.
That's one of the best combinations. Like an onion roll with roast beef. The only thing I could add to that, aside from hot sauce, obviously, the only thing I could think of that I could add to that would be a little bit of horseradish sauce.
Oh yeah, I think it had it on it.
Oh,
I think it had it on it. It was so good. It was so good.
Wow.
I say great conference because of the keynote went well, but also because of that a little piece of roast beef.
I don't know how you did it. I would have eaten like 10 of those pieces. Easy.
Jeremy, twice in New York last week, twice I had one slice of pizza.
That must be
that's never. The least ever in my life was 2.
Wow. So, yeah. How far were you able to
high of weight? I had to. A new high.
Yeah, now you're home. You get rid of it.
I hope.
Stay away from the food trucks.
Tomorrow's Kathy's birthday, so she's requested my salmon and her own private mock stuffed derma. And voodoo donuts for dessert as a cake.
I didn't know she was a big mock stuffed derma fan.
That's what she wants for her birthday.
Wow. I had no idea. I thought that was just you and me and Matthew. I had no idea.
No. My whole family. Well,
I know
at Thanksgiving, we didn't have stuffing. We didn't do popovers. The only stuffing-like thing we had, everybody decided, was mock stuffed derma.
Did you do 2 of them?
Huh?
You do 2 of them?
Well, it makes 2. The recipe makes 2 loaves.
Oh,
there were only 7 of us, so that was enough. Kathy thought there should be more, to be honest.
Yeah, I just do the last time I did it, I just used twice as much as everything. And I made 2 giant logs of it, and I froze one and cooked the other. Because I said, if I'm going to take out the processor, if I'm going to have to clean the food processor, if I'm going to have to do all the chopping or prep and all the cleanup, I may as well get 2 loaves out of it.
I understand that philosophy, but then that's just a lot of calories, my man. It's a lot of calories.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll probably not be able to eat more than a half a piece of one starting in January. So
yeah.
That's not the kind of thing I would eat. If you could only eat very little and you're on a diet, I wouldn't make it mock stuffed derma.
Oh, but we love it so much. I've been experimenting with different ways to make it, but
no, I mean because of nutritional reasons.
Nutritional. I agree with you.
Like it wouldn't be good. Yeah, like if that's all I ate for a half a day, that's not good for your body. So
no, you're gonna have to make it count.
I ate a giant salad yesterday. I made a great salad.
That's worthy.
And I make my own dressing. I bought I had a thing to mix it. Well, I'm forgetting what it's called, but I actually bought one. So and I'm not using a fork, but I'm actually using the real thing to whip, a whipper.
You know,
And
you mentioned salad.
yeah,
If you wanted,
I made
if
the
you
best dressing.
if you want to have a viral, you don't might not agree with me, a viral video, just get a videotape, a videotape. Just get a video recording of our mother making a salad. First of all, it's delicious, but she will scream 30 times while she's making it because she'll drop something and cut herself. But the salad's tremendous.
I almost feel like taking the meatloaf video off of my channel and putting it up on our channel so more people could see it. Because the few people that watched it on my private YouTube channel, everybody loves it. Like if I send it to someone, they go crazy. Laughing. It's more of a comedy than it is a food thing, though.
You should definitely put it on here.
Yeah, if I could find it though, because it's on the channel. How do I get it? I guess I could download it off of the channel.
You can.
Yeah, you can download it off the channel. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it up there. I'm gonna do a playlist, Sandy's favorites or something, and we could take all the old recipes that we've done and put it up there.
So for Christmas dinner, I'm gonna make mock stuffed Derma, of course, and I'm gonna have one of the kids film me. Because I found an old DVD of me videotaping, and it was videotaping Mom making mock stuffed Derma.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm going to use margarine next time. No, I'm going to use butter next time. I always use margarine for the burning point thing, but now screw it. I'm going to just use the butter.
I use butter, and Mom gives me a hard time.
I'm going to use the butter. You know what I might do? I might use clarified butter. That solves the problem. It won't burn on the bottom.
Okay. I don't know why I made it. I made it recently, for Shane at Thanksgiving. It didn't burn the bottom, but every time I make it at Mom's, it burns the bottom.
Maybe it's the oven.
But Kathy loves the burn. It's like caramelized. I mean, it's not burned. It gives it a crunch.
That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Hey, look, I got to go. I'm glad we had 4 to 8 viewers while I was here.
Hey, it's the first time. No warning. Very little warning.
Yeah. And we didn't have a topic.
Bad. One day we'll have 50 people in here.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, when Green Bean does
and Grandize will bring people in.
When Green Bean does the hot sauce, trust me.
Well, I'm excited about that. We just have to pick out a time. I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Apollo is a different pepper. Apollo is a different pepper, hotter than X. I believe.
I know. It's crazy. Over 2 million Scoville units.
Ooh, baby, that's going to be hot. Especially a straight quarter teaspoon, man. That's going to be fire.
Yeah. Not going to be an eighth. We use an eighth, don't we?
We use a quarter.
We've always used an eighth.
What?
We've always used an eighth.
I have 20 videos that show that you're wrong.
Really? Oh my God. Okay.
And it's very small, a quarter tea. My mistake was doing a half tea of that Reaper sauce. Oh God. Half tea was too much.
That's a mistake. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we'll appreciate the support.
We appreciate the support. And we'll be back in the future. The next time we're back, it might not be the next time, but we are going to have Green Bean on, and we're going to watch Green Bean eat one of the hottest hot sauces in the world.
It's going to be fun. And others.